And joining us this morning, a very special guest, Julia. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
There's a lot of things going on in your neck of the woods, but first, before we get to all that, let's find out a little bit about you.
Okay. Julia McCray moved to Tionesta 21 years ago to start a business, and I'm currently working in the tourism industry, marketing Forest County to tourists. So I manage the visitor center in Tionesta. I'm also president of the Arts Council, the Forest Area Arts Council.
Now, I think Forest County, we talk about this all the time. It really is a beautiful, beautiful area. And I think people would be surprised at the number of people who go there to take part in the hiking trails or just to camp or visit. Do you have an idea of roughly how many people visit the area in a year?
If you ask the National Forest and Tionesta Lake, they'll give you numbers in the hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
Every year. At the Visitor Center, we bring in a little over 6,000 visitors per year through the door. And that's just Tionesta. So that's not counting all the people out in Marionville and in between here and there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
As you talk to these folks, what do they say to you? What brings them to that county?
A combination of outdoor recreation and just the small town, quiet, relaxing atmosphere. Just getting away from the city.
And there's a lot of folks who come up from Pittsburgh or from larger cities to escape those noises and those outside distractions.
Yes. There's something like 7,000 camps just in Forest County alone. We only have 5,000 residents, full-time residents, so we're outnumbered just by the number of camps.
I guess the quip that I've always heard about Forest County is that during hunting season there's more deer than there are residents. And having lived there for a little while many years ago, I think I saw that to be true. So.
Absolutely. I live right in town. In the past 2 evenings, I've had a deer come across the highway into my yard to get down to the back channel of the river. So, yeah, it's not uncommon for us to see wildlife right in town.
You know, it's funny because somebody from outside will come in and that will excite them. Oh my gosh, a deer right there. But for folks who live in this area, it's
pretty commonplace.
It's pretty commonplace, yeah.
You know, you mentioned something else that's very attractive to the area, and that's the river and the waterways that are in the area.
Yes.
Of course, there's the wild and scenic designation on the Allegheny River, but you just go up the hill, and there's the Corps of Engineers, the dam up there at Tionesta Lake, and folks can do just about anything on the water: fish, water ski, boat. Those kinds of things.
Sure. Diving, they even do diving up there.
That's right, they do. I remember hearing about that. And I see people who have camps and what have you up there. A lot of these people use Twitter, what have you. I see a lot of tweets about what they're doing, who they're visiting, you know, that kind of thing. Typical tweet might be sitting around the fire with my friends, haven't been to Tionesta in a while, glad I'm here.
Yes.
You know, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's just, every time I go through, I get the same kind of feeling. You know, I love to stop there and just walk around for a few minutes because it's like breathing in the air of some little place you can't get any other place.
That's true. And a lot of families have a multi-generation connection to Forest County or Tionesta or Marionville in particular. You know, the family's had a camp there since Grandpa or Great-Grandpa bought it generations ago. And they love that connection. They love being able to say that they have a connection to Forest County.
As you talk to these folks, do you, you know, I guess people say sometimes, you know, we live here in a small town, Pennsylvania, you know, blah, blah, blah. But when you are talking with these folks that come from larger cities and they say, wow, this is the most beautiful place we've ever been, blah, 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 blah. I mean, does that, to you, kind of renew your love for this area?
Oh, yeah. It's one of the best jobs I've ever had is working at the Visitor Center, talking to the people and finding out why they're coming, what really attracts them.
And what are some of those responses?
A lot of them are after the water recreation. A lot of them are after ATV trails. But really, mostly, it's just getting away, getting to camp, and relaxing, not having to deal with the traffic, the close neighbors, all the hassles of the metropolitan area.
Do you take that information then and try to develop the tourism piece around that information?
We do. We actually keep some pretty good records at the Visitor Center, data on who's coming. Nothing specific, but we have a log sheet that the volunteers fill out throughout the day that records how many people came in each hour of the day, whether they were a child, an adult, or a senior. And then we try to keep track of what information they're asking for. We have a whole list of things like horseback riding and hiking and boating and arts, history, and we just mark down every time somebody comes in what it is that they're looking for in our area.
You mentioned the arts, and Mark and I, quite a bit over the course of a year, will have a lot of discussion about the arts in this area and how it just has exploded. Oil City with the transit building, our arts council here in Titusville, very, very active. You have the arts in Meadville. Tell us a little bit about the arts in Tionesta and in Forest County.
As you said, it's exploded. We were always a little bit jealous of Oil City and Warren, who have done well in the arts. And just in the past few years, we've had artists moving to Tionesta. We didn't actively go out there and seek to bring them in, but they chose Tionesta. We formed an art council 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago now. We've had an art festival for 12 years, an art auction that supports the festival for 12 years. Just recently, the Industrial Development Corporation developed the Tionesta Market Village, and that's pretty much all artists and artisans. And we have just recently announced a folk school being located in Tionesta.
Oh, wow.
So if you're not familiar with the folk school concept, it's teaching heritage arts and crafts. There are a few around the country, not a lot. So we're really tickled to have something like this in Tionesta.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's exciting.
I have not heard about that before. That's really cool.
Brand new, hot off the press news.
That's wonderful.
I would imagine that as an artist, escaping the noise and heading to Tionesta, Marionville, the places you mentioned, and just being able to focus on the ideas, and whether it's painting, writing, I would think that setting would just be probably a pretty good experience for that artist.
And when I've talked to the artists who have moved to Tionesta, that's the reason that they moved there. They wanted the small town atmosphere, they wanted the peace and quiet, but enough activity that they had things to do and that they could still do their work, sell their work. Of course, with the internet, you can live anywhere and have your career. So
has that been a big help then for you guys to market that piece of it?
It has. It has. Artists are often not business people. They like to do the creative side, and they don't really want to have to bother with the business side. But the internet adds a little creativity to the business side. So a lot of them are using the internet. The PA Wilds, Forest County is part of the PA Wilds, and they have an artisan trail. I serve on their advisory committee, and we have a couple of stops now in Forest County that are on their trail. Artists who go through their jurying process have great exposure on the PA Wilds Artisan Trail website. So, internet has just helped the arts so much.
I imagine that's a little easier now. I understand that in Forest County there are a couple of new communications towers too that have improved phone communication and the internet.
Yes.
As well. I imagine that feeds some of the internet-fired activities and businesses that these artists and artisans take part in.
It does, and so many people are using Facebook. I was a little surprised at how many people in Forest County, given our population demographics, how many are on Facebook, and they use it a lot. And our artists are using it, our businesses are using it, but there are still places in Forest County that are on dial-up. So we're trying to bring everybody up to at least high speed.
That's okay. Mark still has Laserdisc.
I have an 8-track player somewhere.
Yeah,
wow.
he's getting caught up slowly.
Yeah, that is a problem throughout I guess it's the north central part of Pennsylvania. If you take a look at any of the coverage maps, there's still areas that actually don't have coverage at all.
Right.
And it's mainly due to how rural some of these communities are, and the idea that you can actually get broadband and some of those things in there. It's just going to take some time to do that.
Sure. And the geography adds to it, too. All of the hills and valleys that we have makes it more difficult to get those signals everywhere.
Yeah.
Mark and I talk a lot about staycations and families around here. Maybe they don't have a lot of money to go to Disney or some of the bigger places, but there's a lot of really nice attractions around here. Have you noticed an increase in just local tourism?
Definitely. When the economy took a dive and the gas prices climbed steeply, we noticed a big increase in the number of people who are using their camps. Instead of going to Disney, they're taking the family to their camp and spending a week. Our Memorial Day weekend this year was unbelievable. There were so many people in Tionesta. They couldn't get on the river because of the flooding.
Wow.
And the ATV and horse trails and some of the hiking trails were closed on the National Forest. So they were all in town, and it was amazing.
That's great. I was through there a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine got married, and they had a dinner at Gateway Lodge, which is just amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And they've done a lot of work there. It's probably been 20 years since I had been there. And as I was talking to the lady, and they are booked constantly.
Yes. And they are really good at marketing themselves. Her daughter has a marketing degree, and she does a terrific job of marketing the lodge. And they're always planning something new, different events, packages.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of events, you've got a big event coming up, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. On the radio side, we're going to take a quick time out, and we'll come back more with Julia McCray, and we'll talk about the event that's coming up there. On the TV side, we'll just keep it here, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But some of these other businesses in Forest, do they get together and talk about ways to market each other?
They do. A couple of years ago, we started the Forest, I'm trying to think of the name now, the Forest County Business Alliance. It's a county-wide chamber organization. We tried chamber organizations in both Tionesta and Marionville separately over the years, and such a small area, small population, it just didn't work well. So it's going very well as a county-wide organization. They meet monthly, come up with ways to promote the area and the individual businesses.
I would imagine getting these folks together, or just you being able to go out and talk to everybody. Everybody has some input to add to ways to market the area.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that would fit in a traditional realm, and how much of that are you looking at Facebook and the social media aspect and saying, okay, we need to incorporate some of these out of the box ideas?
For a while, marketers were telling us that print was dead, that it was all going electronic, and visitor bureaus in particular were arguing against that because we see how many publications we print and actually distribute every year. We give out over 12,000 pieces just at the Forest County Visitor Center every year.
Wow.
The PA Great Outdoors Visitors Bureau that I'm connected with, they print 100,000 annual welcome guides, and they run out before the end of the year. They print 2 magazines a year, 30,000 copies each issue, and they're all gone. People are asking for them before they even come out. Print is definitely not dead, so we are still focusing a lot of attention on print, but we also put a lot of attention into social media and website. People plan their trips on websites. Then they may call and ask for a print publication, or once they actually get into the area, they'll stop and pick up print publications.
Mark and I were talking this morning actually about how proud we are to be here in Pennsylvania, and I think Michigan has a great campaign for the state. California has a great campaign, and we're now starting to see some things come out of Pennsylvania promoting, business, promoting tourism, and saying this is a great state. Are you noticing that the state is finally saying, okay, we need to market ourselves better, or what more could be done?
Not too many years ago, the state had a $35 million tourism promotion budget. They're now at about $3 million. It's been cut drastically over the past several years. And it has really made it difficult for the individual tourism promotion agencies because they got a portion of that $35 million. We have to rely on room tax funds. And if you're a small county that doesn't have a lot of hotels or big attractions, then you don't make much on room tax revenues. But that's all the money you have to promote your county. So it's been really difficult for the individual bureaus. The big cities, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, they have tons of hotel rooms, sport parks, and they make millions every year in room tax revenues. So it's been difficult for tourism promotion. The state has now formed a public-private partnership. Tourism is a industry just like steel or agriculture. So the argument was that tourism needed to support itself. So the new public-private partnership, it hasn't all been put together yet, but it's looking like it could be a very interesting, good possibility for tourism.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, tourism is right up there with dairy farming as far as like the top industries in Pennsylvania as a whole.
Yes.
And I've driven through most of Forest County. You can almost, on the fingers of two hands, count the number of hotels that are available, and most of them are Marionville and Tionesta.
Yes.
So I can see that you are terribly limited by the revenue that gets generated out of that.
It is, and the state has never considered campgrounds as accommodations, so they're not included in the room tax. And we have so many campgrounds all around the region, including in Forest County itself. So yeah, we don't have too many hotels, motels, a few bed and breakfasts.
Well, again, that's why you have a lot of events over there. You bring people in and attract attention. So let's talk about the event that's coming up.
Okay. June 21st, the Forest Area Arts Council is having their 12th annual Festival in the Forest. It's an art festival with art and craft vendors, and we also have a competition for local artists of all ages. When we first formed the Art Council, it was because we knew we had so many talented artists and nobody knew about them. They had no way to get their work out there and sell it and be recognized. So we've done 12 of these now, and they're very well attended. We have music all day. The competition has both ribbon and cash awards. The Lions Club is one of our partners. They provide a breakfast and some lunch options. It's a really, really great event. People come to it every year. They have it on their calendars.
Now, you brought some pieces with you today.
I did. These are some of our local artists. This is tissue paper collage done by Nancy Jurgen. She's a Tionesta resident, and she will be part of the festival. And this is a piece, this is a pencil drawing by Clarion County artist Jason Lewis. He does a lot of pencil, colored pencil, oil, and acrylic landscapes from the local area. And this is one of our Art Council members, Pat Mays. She does watercolor and pastel, and she does a lot of landscapes. They do a lot of traveling, and often her landscapes are from Canada. And then this is one of my pieces. It's a colored pencil that I did a couple of years ago. So we generally have about 100 pieces entered in the competition, and usually about 15 artist vendors who will have booths where you can, some of them will be demonstrating their work, and they'll all be selling their work.
Does it amaze you how many great artists we have in this area?
Oh, yeah. I knew we had them when we first started the Art Council, but once we got going, it was like they just started coming out of the woodwork. It was amazing. And with new artists moving here, that number just keeps growing. We have a great art teacher for the Forest Area School District, and she has really helped some of our students to appreciate art and get involved in the arts.
So you've noticed younger folks really taking an interest, and I guess the other part is having these folks, the teachers and the artists themselves, here in this area to inspire younger people. I'm sure that's been very helpful.
It has. We always wish that our school districts allowed more funding for art curriculum. Our Art Council helps support our art curriculum by providing funds for materials. Art materials are not cheap, and we help our art teacher to give the kids a broader experience by supporting art materials and by sending the art club on field trips. They'll often go to a museum in a metropolitan area or an artist studio.
Again, the event's coming up in just a couple weeks.
It is.
Everybody's looking forward to it. It's going to be a wonderful time. Congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Julie McCray joining us here this morning. And if folks have any questions or need more information, how can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me by email at info@forestcounty.com, or they can call me at the Visitor Center. It's 814-755-3338.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please come back again.
Thank you.
Mark, what'd you learn today?
Wow. Well, I learned all about this art event because I didn't know that such a thing existed. So I'm happy to know about it, and will do my best to get over there and take a look.
Thank you.
Julia, what'd you learn?
that we have a lot to offer. Something that I think we knew, but boy, once you get the opportunity to start talking about it, it kind of comes back home to you just how much we have.